Olá, bom dia! That threw me a moment. There's the excellent new intro sequence from Pete Wilton-Davies. Thank you, Pete. And lots of lovely scenes of central Portugal there, emanating from around Gilda Pereira. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you so much, Peter W.D., the unofficial ambassador, of course, of Gilda Pereira. And so delighted. And we all know that tune now, don't we? So I'm glad he kept the tune, even though he remixed the visuals a little bit. Thanks, Pete. We'll look forward to having a beer with you soon over there in your part of central Portugal. How's everybody doing today? No spoilers, please. I have recorded the England and Italy match on my VHS machine, and I'll be watching it later today. So I don't want anybody to spoil the result for me, if you please. Okay, so no comments that might give the game away, as it were. Yeah, exactly. Elra Linda is here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Elra. Stephen Wells is here, bon dia, who was with us for our final man cave last Friday. Well, final with me in a production role. And those men have got together a little bit like the England squad, really, and put their shoulders to the pump and are arranging the independent expat man cave, which is going to kick off this coming Friday. So that's a great spin-off for the wonderful community that revolves around Expats Portugal, particularly those blokes who like to have a drink on a Friday night and share the highs and lows and the happiness and woes of life. That's a nice little rhyme, isn't it? Hola, bon dia, alegria from Phil. Hey up, Phil. He's changed completely now from Snatty Phil to Phil Cookland, on his way ever closer to Portugal. Jim White's here as well. Baltimore, bon dia, Gilda. Oh yes, Gilda's here as well. Let's bring Gilda on. It is, of course, Visa Update Day, Mondays with Gilda Pereira. Hey!
Hello, good morning.
How are you today, Gilda?
I'm fine. Carl, tell me the truth. Did you record the game, or you just don't want to talk about it?
I just don't want to talk about it. I watched pretty much. I didn't watch every minute of it, actually. I do a show with Donna Jacqueline on a Sunday night, and a very good show it is too. And we were likening we were talking about feelings last night, and of course, nothing brings up feelings for human beings like football. So it was a great conversational topic, and Donna Jacqueline very kindly allowed us to talk from 7 till 8 so that I could watch the match. But I didn't start watching it until about 3 minutes past, which of course meant as soon as I turned the TV on, it's 1-0 already. And I was rubbing my eyes like 1-0. Oh no, Italy have scored, have they? No, England have scored. Wow. And there I was engaged into it and, fearing the inevitable as the game went on, of course, that it would go to penalties. And it did. And we had a quick chat about it, didn't we? It's such an unfair way to end a match, really, isn't it? Or to decide. Yeah. What's your view on it as a football fan?
Well, because of all my clients and because of you, I wanted England to win, of course.
Thank you so much. And I think Frank, who we see from time to time here, missing in the Algarve at the moment, and what a place to watch the England match in the Algarve. He did, I mean, quite rightly, he said the best team won. And you can't underestimate the Italians, the champions. Azzurri, is that the Italian word? They played well, didn't they? And in many ways, that early goal for England might have created a false sense of expectation. And the more experienced side, the champions, were better by the end of the match, weren't they? Despite all our predictions of it coming home. It nearly came home is not the same sort of song, really, as It's Coming Home, is it? But there you go. Sweet Neil Diamond's done very well out of it with Sweet Caroline being resurrected. So there it goes. That's the game. Someone's got to lose. Someone's got to win. And we look forward to the next round of frustration and elation. That's the game. That is the game, isn't it? Elra was saying, I was having some technical problems, didn't even see the new scenes. We'll have to rewatch the program. Yeah, that's a good idea. Or tune in again tomorrow morning, Elra, and you'll see it in its full glory. Typically with Pete, lots of scenes, lots to digest. I was seeing things like months later, in the video. That's why his videos are so great. Good morning from Baltimore. Great footage. Thanks, Mandy. I'm glad you liked it. Great job by Pete. Hello. Good morning all from Winsurance, of course. One more week starts, indeed. Another week here, and further into summer here in Portugal. Hello from Nepal, from Madan. Good morning to you and Madan. Stephen, you are kidding. You don't know I am kidding. Gilda sussed me out straight away there. Bon dia. Hey, Martin, how are you? Martin Hardy from Singapore. Good morning. I'll see you in the early hours of tomorrow, I suspect, on the meeting of the Expats plan, or Expats Portugal plan. How do I say this? Mib Gebreish. Hi, everyone. A new name. The clue was VHS. Yes, you're right. I mean, can you remember those days? And if you've recorded it on an old tape, on a what is it, an E240 recorded at slow speed, so you got 8 hours on it. It could get a bit grainy by the end of it. Mark Stola, bon dia. You missed it, but it is. If I had the chance to watch it again, I probably wouldn't. Bon dia from a cloudy Scotland, Fiona, and bon dia from an American expat in Provence, France. And what a great place there, Robert, that message to kick off one of the subjects of today. I mean, if you've got any questions visa-wise from Gilda, this is the place on a Monday morning. But what I thought might be useful this morning was to talk about Portuguese business culture, which is different, of course. And this probably sums it up. This is more of a European assessment of the difference between European and American business culture. When this time of year comes, European out of office, I'm away camping for the summer. Please email me back in September. Isn't that nice? Quality of life, family time. American out of office. I've left the office for 2 hours to undergo kidney surgery, but you can reach me on my cell phone anytime. That's true, isn't it? I think kind of.
Yes, it is true.
There is a difference. So, Gilda, how would you characterize Portuguese business culture? It is very different, certainly to British business culture, and I think certainly American business culture. What have you noticed in the differences? Because you work with people all over the world, of course.
Yes, and it's I may say it's very difficult. It's one of the most difficult things. It's to manage people's expectations because they want to have everything done very fast, and when it comes to visa process, people are very anxious, and it's very difficult to manage. I may say that half of my job is to manage people anxiety. And as I told you this weekend, I always work a little bit at the weekend. This weekend I couldn't. I was really without any energy at all because of these anxiety problems. Some consulates are being really slow. And of course, it's not our fault. We can chase them. We can email them. They reply if they want to. Most of the time, they don't reply to us. And this is the thing that people need to understand. We help to put the process together. We make sure that people are compliant with all the requirements. We put the visa folders together. I know that someone showed you one this week.
I saw a beautiful thing. Yes, from I spoke to on Zoom. Yes, indeed. What you encourage people to do is incredible. And the feedback for that particular piece of work was wow, wasn't it? A particular this is impressive, and it was obviously from your office.
Yes, we did that file, and the client went to the consulate, and the lady there said it was amazing, and it was going to make her job very easy. So this we can do. What we cannot do is that we cannot speed up. There are two things. I cannot speed up the way of living of my team because they won't accept. If I work on the weekends, it doesn't mean that they will work on the weekends. Some of them do. Some of them do because we have a lot of work. Some of them do, but it's not something that I can expect from everyone. And most of the Portuguese, you need to understand this. Most of the Portuguese, they don't care about the money. It's not that I'm going to give you more money so you can work more hours. They are not going to accept that. They don't. It's true. It's true. I've tried. I've tried, and they say, Gilda, we don't want the money. We just want to have our work hours and then go home and have our life,
family life.
And yeah, family life, and even from those that are single, they want times from themselves, and this is our culture. This is how it works, and it's very difficult, especially for Americans and Brazilians. I talk about American because they live in a very speed life, and they do think a lot about the money and earning the money. And I'm going to give you an example. In where our office is, in the street, there are only 2 restaurants for people to have lunch, and they both close in August. So in August, no one can have lunch.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Now you can call Uber Eats, but it would be very smart if they spoke to each other and they say, okay, I get 2 weeks in August and you get the other 2 weeks, but simply they just don't care. It's August, they close, they go to their families, and that's it.
And they always have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Sorry, go on. Carry on.
So this is something that most of the people only understand when they get here and not before.
Yeah. And of course,
and some people,
it's why they want to come here, isn't it? And that you can't have it both ways.
That's what I say because, and then they start pushing me. Gilda, I talked to you 1 week ago. Where is my step plan? And I said, you only want to come in 1 year and a half time. So I need to manage the step plans according to the time where you want to come. And then they say, yeah, but I want it now because I want to see it now because we had the conversation. I really enjoyed the consultation and I want to see the step plan now. And I say, okay, but isn't the reason, and then they tell me things are going too slow for me. And then I say, isn't that the reason why you want to come to Portugal? So try practicing now.
Yes,
try practicing the patient now. The process, you need to have a lot of patience with the process. And it's not only because of we are a Portuguese company, and of course we have a Portuguese culture, although I try to adapt a lot.
Yes.
I try to answer WhatsApp message even in the weekends. I try to, I have calls very late in the night or sometimes very early in the morning. So I try to adjust, but it's me because I am the owner and because I'm in the business for 7 years. So I already know that sometimes if I don't answer quickly, I may lose the client. But sometimes it's disappointing for me because I have a very good conversation. I really like the family. And then because I take more than 1 week, they say, oh, we don't want to work with you anymore. So I don't think what I tell them is I don't think with another company is going to be different because I've worked with other companies before. I have partners that are in the business and I make part of PAIR, which is the Portuguese Association of Immigration, Investment and Relocation. So I know that how in the business how things go, and it's the timings are almost the same. And then we have to wait for the Portuguese institutions, and there are things that we cannot just make it different. I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
I had this client that was going to the consulate to do the process. And then he said, I want to change my date because I'm going to Portugal and I want to go and see some apartments. And then when he wanted to rebook the appointment, it was only for the 3rd week of August. And then we found out because the only person in that consulate that does the D7 process took 6 weeks off and no one is going to replace her.
Dear, oh dear.
Yeah, so you just have to wait.
Very unhelpful, isn't it? And not very joined up thinking from the government there. But I guess This is not unusual with countries and government, with countries, governments, and embassies around the world. And you are, subject to how they operate, aren't you, or not, as the case may be in that instance. So, and that's why I wanted to talk about this morning, because I think it is quite important for people to understand what's going on. Understanding helps with anxiety, doesn't it? And there are a number of things at play here, of course. We haven't even mentioned the pandemic effect yet, have we? Which has obviously thrown everything into further chaos around the world, and for many people, and not least, in terms of traveling, but how people are working and how people have had to change their working patterns. But I just thought it'd be very useful this morning to talk about Portuguese business culture, but getting all this extra background is really good as well, Gilda. So thank you very much for that. If you've got any questions along those lines, do let me know, because the one thing that fascinates me about Portuguese business culture is the timekeeping thing. That's quite interesting, isn't it? When I first came to Portugal, English people are sort of overly, or British people are overly punctual and get their knickers in a twist about these things, I think, probably unnecessarily. That's an English phrase, and you know exactly what I mean about getting your knickers in a twist, I think, when you've seen British people who've been made to wait for more than 2 minutes or something like that. And they turn up, don't they, at like half an hour before the meeting, which actually is quite inconvenient, I think, for some Portuguese companies. It's like, well, why are you here 30 minutes early when, in fact, the meeting probably might not start for 30 minutes after the time specified? What's that about? And what's the best way to manage that?
I don't know, but it's something that it really, it's that. And when people appear without having an appointment, I pop up and I just have a doubt. I want to talk with Gilda. Okay, so I have my day with scheduled with all the calls and all the things that I need to do, and then I have, of course, and sometimes people, I don't know if they mix the hours or if they do it on purpose. They just turn out very early. Yeah, as you said, they have an appointment for 10, and they show up at 9, and sometimes I'm not even there yet.
It's like, and they say, I didn't want to be late. So in Portugal, the advice then is turn up at the specified time, and also be prepared to wait for perhaps a little bit of a delay as well. That is just how this culture tends to roll, I think. And, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about differences, and we can argue about whether that's right or wrong. But the main thing, I think, is to know how it works, know how it operates. And so you can manage your expectations, right? Because it's a whole lot worse if you go to Finanzas, isn't it? Or SCF, I suspect, than it is in a business or professional office.
Yes, of course. You can wait there for hours, but it depends. It depends on the experience. It depends on the people who are there. It depends. I myself, I try not to be late. I try to be on the hour because I have a schedule that I need to, and it's always very full. So I have to be on the hour. If I start one meeting late, everything is going to be delayed. So I try to be there on the hour, but I cannot be there before, because before I'm perhaps with my previous client.
Absolutely. And that is also part of Portuguese culture. When it's your turn, it's your turn. I've noticed this. It's the same at the cash machine. You go to the multibanco, and I know lots of Brits and Americans will be standing behind people at a multibanco who are paying all of their household bills. And they'll be going, oh, come on, I've got a meeting to get to, and I need to be.
And they start to make this pressure to the person.
Shuffling papers behind them. But if it's your turn in Portugal, it's your turn. It's the same at Finanzas, SCF. Once you get in front of the person, the rest of the world doesn't matter, does it? You have your turn, and you relax, and you do what you need to do. And that's really, really good. I really do like that about Portuguese culture. I've got another question.
That's true.
Yeah, I've got another question for you about working hours, which I think is also fascinating, but it's probably something to do with the weather and how life works here. But Ron is here in Cascais, finally. Bom dia, de uma ensolada. So sunny Cascais.
Ron.
I trust you're having an excellent time there, Ron. I think you probably are. For the D7, here's a question. Do you need travel insurance that includes repatriation and medical, as well as private insurance, or will private insurance suffice? So must people have the coverage of repatriation and medical as well as the medical in there?
Yes, it is one of the requirements for the D7. Although I must say that most of the consulates in the United States, if we are talking about the Portuguese health plan, they will not ask for repatriation. If you have like a Medish healthcare plan, which is pretty complete and gives you a lot of coverage, they will accept it. If you are talking about the travel insurance, it needs to have repatriation costs and a minimum of healthcare of 30,000 euros.
30,000.
But again, this depends from consulates to consulates.
Okay. But that's a really good guide there for Jim. Thank you very much. And of course, Nuno Mendes is here from our Winsurance, our preferred partners in insurance. So check him out on the. Or actually, Nuno, feel free to put your contact details direct in the comments there, Jim. If you want.
Actually, I would like to talk to him, to Nuno.
Well, we should do that over lunch, possibly, but not in August. People are moving to Portugal for a slower pace of life, so need to expect a slower pace of things happening, says Steve. It's absolutely right. And Gilda said that. She gives people training immediately. They start working with you. It's like, take a chill pill, take it easy. You wanted to come here for a more relaxing, quieter life. It begins now. It begins now with these processes. Elra,
it begins with the process.
Yes, absolutely. Whenever my boss said, do you rather have the day or extra pay, I always reply, the day. There you go. Portuguese culture in action, even up there in Scandinavia. No longer bonjour, but bon dia. Tamara is here, everybody. We're finally in Lisbon and loving it. Of course you are. Bank account opened and we found an apartment in only a week. Great results there, Tamara. Fantastic. Great to hear that. Oh, here's the ever enterprising Phil, a pop-up restaurant idea for August. See, there you go. There's the entrepreneurial spirit. That's not a bad idea, is it? But probably you've got enough on your hands at the moment, Gilda.
I do.
A good work-life balance sounds inviting, says Mandy. That's what we're talking about. Hola, bon dia. To full-time remote developers, that's as in computer programmers, isn't it? Qualify for D7s as it's active income, not passive income. So that could be a different visa, couldn't it, there, Gilda?
This is a very good question because times have changed. The law didn't change, so they still require passive income in the law, but most of the consulates are accepting active income for the D7s as long as you have a good amount of savings also. Yeah. So if you can combine a good amount of savings with active income, they will accept you.
There you go, Manwajit Singh. It's good to have you here this morning and great to be able to answer your question like that. Thanks, Gilda. Listening and learning, say Fiona and Simon. Simon was hilarious in the Man Cave on Friday as well, has to be said. This might be Fiona this morning. Did he have some explaining to do, Fiona? Ron, free Portuguese tuition with every comment. It is ensolarada. We knew what you meant there, Ron, but there's just a point of order there from Maxine. Thank you very much. Can I quest? Bon dia, todos. Provided that renewal appointments are not available on the Golden Visa ARI portal, how can an appointment be made? What will happen if the renewal lapses and past the deadline cutoff? Thanks. What's going on here then, Gilda, with these appointments?
There aren't any appointments at the moment.
So
and
you
that
just
is something.
Right.
Sorry.
Just have to keep trying and register that you did that by email. What else can you do?
Yes, for the Golden Visa, it has to be by email. For the other types of visa, it's on the phone. For instance, family reunification. And yes, you just have to wait. I believe that after August, or maybe in August, when they think that everybody's on vacation, they will open. It happened last year, I guess, or two years ago. And we weren't in a pandemic yet. 2 years ago, they did like that. They opened in August. So I believe they are going to open. I just don't know when.
Okay, so keep applying, keep trying, and show your paper trail via email. What else can you do? That's the advice there I would give. And thank you for your answers, Gilda. Bon dia, todos. I've just put my consultation with Francesca from A to help me plow through the red tape. Well, good man, Andrew. Excellent. Ron thanking Maxine, for the Portuguese coaching there. Elroy, that's very kind of you. Don't despair. You focus on the good clients and positive experiences. Take care. Isn't that lovely?
Thank you. Thank you.
Gilda, our friend Joel is here as well in Matosinhos. Always good value. I'm thinking, Joel, you need to do your own car feature. You up for doing that? You know so much about motoring and you help expats with their motoring inquiries. I think we need to get you on for a little featurette every now and then. What do you think, everybody? Portuguese Standard Time. It's a thing, but part of life here, says Andrew as well there. PST, I've not heard of that one. Mañana. I don't think it can be called that. I think it's different, actually. Iris Otober is asking, what is the Portuguese version for that? I don't know if it's characterized in quite that way. I don't see it as a manana culture. I think it's a slightly different thing, actually, but I haven't put my finger on the name yet. It's not, all right, Andrew, it's not coming home. It's coming Rome, as it turns out, as Frank quickly pointed out. I think he'd been waiting to do that for ages during the match. I won't keep you much longer, Gilda, of course. You know, you need to go and get working. Bon dia from Torres Vedras, from Julie. Good morning, Julie. Where are we? Martin Hardy, referring to timing. I was going to say when in Rome, but not the best morning for. Okay, Martin. Jerry Lula. It's interesting that the British and the Americans will naturally form a queue, whereas the Portuguese have a ticket system to get people to queue. Yes, get the ticket. Whether you're at the deli counter, getting your bacalhau, whatever, or in the Finanças, get the ticket, or even in Vodafone and other such shops. Bon dia from Porto, wrapped our SEF D7 appointment Friday. Very smooth process, says Namaste Dave. Great. And Nunu does want to get in touch, and there is his link if you want to. Look at that. Solutions for Expats. Does what it says on the tin there. That's really very good. We are very happy with Gilda and team. Why wouldn't you be, Jim? Thank you. Endorsement there. That's wonderful. Gary, Andrew, can you friend me, please? Wow. Carl, I didn't watch the game, told you so about the penalties. It's true. He knows nothing about football, but he knows a lot about human nature. I know you got to go, Gilda. Any final thoughts? Oh, the thing I wanted to ask you, coming back to, because what we've seen here in this conversation, it's partly due to government kind of consulate culture. There's the pandemic effect, and we're also talking about Portuguese business culture. Portuguese business culture. How do professionals tend to work in the big cities? Would they turn up at about 9 or 10? Would they have a lunch from about 1 till 3? And then would they work until 10 o'clock at night? Is that how some people are working these days?
No. They show up at 9 and 10. They have one hour to have lunch, and 6, 7 they are leaving.
That's late though, isn't it? Because we were making the comparison with America. And to me, that seems quite late. So, and only 1 hour lunch. It's not, because I thought
only 1 hour lunch.
What happened? I thought lunches used to be longer and people worked into the evening when it got cooler. Are things just been Americanized now?
No, it depends on the companies. When I am doing business with the company and they invite me for lunch, it's like 2 hours and I need to be there. And I start, being very nervous because I'm taking such a long time in the lunch, thinking about everything that I have to do. But of course, if I'm with the client, I need to respect that.
Yes, yeah, of course. And before you go, I need you to promise me one thing on behalf of all Portuguese people, is that you will never have a sandwich sat at your desk for lunch. Will you promise that? That is the end. Okay.
Yeah, that is the end. That is the end. We don't do that. We have a place in our office, and some of us bring food from home, and others ask, and we try to chill out for a little bit, 45 minutes, 1 hour. We sit there and we have lunch together. The girls. Good.
Well, I'm so glad.
We are only girls at the moment.
Oh, that's interesting. That'll be a fascinating experience in its own right, wouldn't it? To sit with the ladies at lunchtime. But do please make sure you have a rest at lunchtime, and have some home cooking there by the sound of it. Thank you very much indeed, Jerry, making the comment the Americans tend to start much earlier. Well, like just as daybreak.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Because we have dinner. We have dinner very late. Our dinner finished at 9:30.
Yeah.
So, and then we don't go to.
Oh, we got Gilda frozen up there. Perhaps that's the end of our connection this morning. But thanks to Gilda, fantastic Gilda, very knowledgeable. Obrigado. That's why we work with Gilda. Brilliantly knowledgeable and an amazing experience in the business that she's in. If you need help with moving to Portugal, she's your woman. Thank you very much, Fiona and Simon. And Phil Cookland saying only 2 weeks annual leave in America as well. Yeah, we've frozen up with Gilda there. That connection didn't work. But as you well know, she'll be off to be doing some work with the team now, and they won't stop except for a 45-minute break by the sound of it with their packed lunches. I really sincerely hope that doesn't happen in Portugal, that people start taking those miserable little sandwiches and sit at their desks while continuing to work. It's not good for a person to do that. Thank you so much, Gilda. And I said this with Gary before. We both of us, he and I, have noticed this. Gary Austin and I. Your working man in Portugal is, you can see the guys when they finish work. It might be postal workers who I've seen, a couple of posties, sit down at a local cafe. They have the daily special and share a little grappa of vinho together. Extremely civilized. This is why you want to come to Portugal, isn't it? Of course, rather than a hurried mass-produced sandwich, a can of pop and a packet of crisps. What happened to us? Why did that happen? That's a very poor part of our evolution as human beings, in my view. Okay, so I can take a few more questions about visas and updates, and we can turn to the hive mind, which is not a patch on Gilda's expertise, but we'll do what we can to help you on a Monday morning with the visa update. And I hope you found that useful with the a little bit of insight into Portuguese business culture. The conversation about that doesn't have to stop because Gilda's gone. Very interested to hear from you this morning about your thoughts on the final last night, the Euros 2020/21 final. What did you make of that? What did you make of the appalling behavior of some of the English football fans? And it is one of these situations where it is actually English, isn't it? It's not. There can't be any merging of boundaries and sort of seconding other nations into this bad behavior that we've seen. So when it comes to England playing, no Scots, Northern Irish or Welsh are involved in that. It was purely English and purely disgusting and miserable in certain parts of the fan base. Can we call them that? What's that about, and what can be done about it? If you care to talk about that on a Monday morning, or are you just still licking your wounds, or do you just not want to talk about it at all? I'm good with that. Personally, we should perhaps move on. A couple of nice bits of news for you this morning. You'll remember, have I still got the picture of Les requesting that people don't send him underwear? And here we go. Yeah, here's lovely Les. Stamps, not underwear, please. Pleased to be able to tell you that Les celebrated a wonderful 90th birthday a couple of days ago on the 10th, and he put out a little message of thanks on Sally, his daughter Sally's Facebook page. Got over 60 cards from around the world, some stuffed with mint condition stamps, some with stamps on the outside, obviously, and franked by the countries of their origin. He was overwhelmed, overcome. He'd been treated like a king in the run-up to his birthday. I think he goes to a social club, and the ladies at the social club have made him a lovely cake and made a fuss of him. And then there were some beautiful pictures on Facebook, thanks to Sally, of his absolute treasure trove of cards that are coming from around the world. So thank you, everybody who rose to the occasion there, thought that was a nice idea to get involved with, and sent Les a birthday card. So belated birthday best from us this morning to you, Les. We would have made a bit more of a fuss ourselves had we been on air, but your birthday was on Saturday. So all the best. Have a super year. And sounds like you had a fabulous birthday. And your videos are wonderful. Les, of course, sings a new song every week and has been entertaining people throughout the pandemic period with a new song every week. And as usual, I think the cat is called Shadow. Shadow tends to, like many cats want to do, is show their bottoms off to the camera. What is it about cats and that? But typically, Shadow made an appearance in Les's thank you video, quite unself-consciously, I'll put it like that. Also, a lovely message in from Castella Branco, from Nina. Do you remember Nina, who runs the hot dog stall in Castella Branco? Hola, Carl. Guess who showed up today? Johnny and Vic from Belgium, our friends Johnny and Vic from Belgium, of course, just as she said they would. Will you please say thank you to them for me? This is from Nina. I really value integrity within folks. Now, there's a quality worth pursuing, right? She really values integrity within folks, how kind they are too. Plus, I discovered it was your birthday yesterday. Oh, it's my birthday last week. Many happy returns to you. Happy belated birthday, Carl. Thank you very much, Nina. With kind regards to you and all who listen to Good Morning Portugal. So there you go. That's Nina Castella Branco there with a hot dog stall, who we interviewed a few weeks ago now, but sending love to all of the community here. Let's have a look at what people are saying. Quite a muted morning this morning. This might be the morning where I'm able to look at a few news articles and not be distracted. But maybe as soon as I say that, the distractions will begin. Is that what you really want? Do you really want me to look at the news? Yeah, as the players try to make the country proud, some fans, in inverted commas, can't even make their mums proud. That's a good way of putting it, isn't it? And it's such a fascinating insight into some parts, the darkest parts of the English psyche. The drunkenness and the violence and the nastiness. What can be done about that, if anything? Or is it just something that you have to, not have to, but something that we're, I suppose, left to embrace as part of the game and what that brings out in people? Because it does bring out the most basic feelings. So is it perhaps not a surprise that some people who aren't that smart, should we put it like that, just give way to their most base urges? Meanwhile, in Portugal, let's have a look at some of the headlines, shall we, before we make our way and start another week here in Portugal. Let me bring up onto the screen for you the Portugal resident coverage just recently. And we are looking here, if I bring it onto the screen for you, a rather serious looking gentleman. Let's find out why. More scandal has proposed head of Portugal's development bank implicated in alleged Benfica intrigue. Oh, whoops. Luis, so football shenanigans going on domestically here. Luis Felipe Vieira suspends presidency of Benfica as well. So, interesting shenanigans there in the world of football and the overlap with finance. Let's have a look. What else? That's a grisly thing. I'm not even going to go there. It's almost impossible to book a test in time for restaurants this weekend. And restaurants in 60 boroughs off limits at weekends without COVID digital certificates or negative tests. I do want to dwell on these, actually, for a moment. And let's have a look. I'll come back to that because I thought this was an interesting article on the 10th on Saturday there. Lisbon Appeal Court judge blasts off over Portugal's sanitary apartheid. And this is connected with the needing a passport certificate effectively to get into a restaurant. DGS boss, that's the health boss here, predicts lifting of restrictions from September, thanks to the vaccination of Portugal's children. Any of the above, I'm happy to look at with your encouragement. Actually, before we go there, something I did want to share with you, which I thought you might find of interest before we move away completely from visas and immigration, is this map that was sent to me. Thank you, Richard, for this. If you can put your spectacles on, everybody, I'll have a little sip of. Have a look at this map while I mute the mic. Have a little cough and have a sip of water. Oh, that's better. Largest immigrant groups by district in Portugal. This goes back to 2018, of course. And it, I was going to say it takes a while to collect statistics, but it probably shouldn't, should it? I mean, given that all of this is logged and could be live, we probably don't have to wait for the publication of such statistics. But it will really help if your geography, or at least your knowledge of flags, is good. On the map of Portugal on the left, you can see there that largest immigrant groups tend to be Brazilians, apart from, I believe that to be Romania in the Alentejo. And one might guess that is Romanians coming in to help in the agricultural industry of the Alentejo, the breadbasket of Portugal. And not surprisingly there, what looks actually like a pair of Union Jack shorts or underpants of the Brits in the Algarve there. Second largest group makes for even more interesting reading or viewing. But the problem is I am a bit stuck when it comes to identifying some of these flags here. But you can see the Brazilians move into second place in the Algarve there. And the Brits are in first place when it comes to central Portugal. Quite interesting. I think you will find then there's a Russian flag in there as well, isn't there? Is that the Spanish flag at the top there? The Spaniards, of course. I mean, that's the neighboring district country there in the north. So on those two districts up in Portugal, and in the northwest and north central there, second largest groups coming in, Spanish settling in Portugal. Very interesting. What do you make of that? Okay, so let me remove that. I thought you might like to see that, and go back to the news articles in the last 20 minutes of the show. Let's see what you think about this. If it wasn't bad enough, the football result for some people, I must say I got my knickers in a twist, or became very concerned actually about this whole business of needing to go, needing papers. This is how I see it anyway. Let me see your papers. As you go into don't know why I did a French accent there. Why you need paperwork to get into a restaurant. Okay, I do understand why, but to me, and this is what I put when I got drawn into it on social media over the weekend. This is one of the things that I just loved about Portugal. Why I came here is the easygoingness of life in Portugal, and this just does cast rather a shadow, I think. Should I just get over myself? What do you think? Restaurants in 60 boroughs off limits at weekends without COVID digital certificates or negative tests. Portugal's Council of Ministers has just announced that restaurants in 60 high-risk boroughs up and down the country, 9 of them in the Algarve, will be allowed to open at weekends until 10:30. Until 10:30. That is, I mean, isn't that when restaurants used to open rather than shut? As long as they only admit people inside their premises presenting COVID digital certificates or negative tests. What this means is that restaurants that had been restricted due to the high incidence of positive cases of SARS-CoV-2, I haven't seen it referred to like that for a while, in their municipalities, will now be able to work through what is often their busiest times, the weekends and bank holidays. They will also be able to admit people without digital certificates or showing negative tests to their terrace areas at weekends. So this is where the sanitary apartheid, as it's been called, kicks in. May I see, imagine a maitre d', can't you? May I see your papers, please? Oh, no certificate and no negative test. Oh, sir and madam will have to sit on the terrace with the other unclean people. During the week, business will be as normal. People will not have to present COVID digital certificates or negative tests to eat either lunches or dinners, when, of course, the virus is not active. Another new demand by the government is that anyone staying at a hotel, guest house, or alojamento local, the AL buildings, of course, or establishments, the local lodging property, anywhere in the country, will also need to present either a COVID digital certificate or negative test for SARS-CoV-2. Hold on a minute. Anyone staying at a hotel, okay, anywhere in the country. So you need the papers for that now. I can't keep up. Somebody did say to me, Carl, Expats Portugal, Good Morning Portugal should provide a space for this, tell people what the latest measures are. That's a good idea and well said, but does anyone really know? And I think we should leave that to the people who've really ruled this area of life and health and safety, and that is Safe Communities Portugal. So blow by blow, minute by minute, I think they've stayed on top of it better than most, better than anyone. And there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If you need to know things like this, another new demand by the government is that anyone staying at a hotel, guest house, or alojamento local anywhere in the country will also need to present either a COVID digital certificate or a negative test for SARS-CoV-2. Keep in touch with all of that, these measures that seem to change or are mooted and then never happen. You need to find out what you actually need. And I would recommend the best place to do that is Safe Communities Portugal. We interviewed David from Safe Communities Portugal early on in the proceedings, and I'm sure he would have had no idea what his team would have been going through in these last 18 months. But I won't read all of the districts there, but that's the length and breadth of it there. This is what is going on at the moment. So stay on top of this if you can. Elsewhere, there are another 34 boroughs on alert. In other words, their numbers are already running at over 120 cases per 100,000, but they are not yet elevated. The inference is if they become elevated, they too will be bound by harsher restrictions next week. This may blow over, folks. And of course, forewarned is forearmed. So I tell you this merely so that you know what to anticipate and expect. And I add again, of course, do check in on Safe Communities Portugal. And I think I quite like this article about the idea here of sanitary apartheid, where the Lisbon Appeal Court judge blasts off, another turn of phrase you only read about in the papers, really, of course, or NASA. They're kind of blasting off. Let's see what's going on here then. Another one from Natasha Don on the 10th of July. Lisbon Appeal Court judge blasts off over Portugal's sanitary apartheid. Before I read it, let's see what you've been saying in the comments. Quite a few comments to catch up with. Yes, the virus only works on weekends. But a cynicism setting in here, right? I just saw that flash past my eyes, your comment there, Gary. And you're right to say that. Let me just take it off the screen for a moment. You're right to say that, Gary. And I'll come to that. And I probably would have to say either the engine, won't I? Instead of a word that could get our coverage banned from YouTube. Bom dia from the beautiful Barrada. From Andy. Yes, he's right. Beautiful Barrada. Get it on your list. You've got to go there. Lovely to see you yesterday, Dona Graça, from the beautiful Barrada. Paul Richards, greetings from San Rafael. Paul, what's happened? There is no waxing lyrical from you this morning in the Algarve. Are you upset about the football? I wonder. That map, geez. What's wrong with that map, Elra? Gary Austin, democracy, freedom, liberty, and censorship. Gary, if I can fill you in here, not Gary, but the rest of you. Gary recorded what I thought was a very excellent interview with our friend Will Thompson, who you will know from this community as well. Another stalwart of the pandemic campaign. The COVID campaign, coronavirus campaign. Remember, we used to call it the coronavirus. And they recorded what seemed to me, and actually I was quite jealous because Gary managed to get a really brilliant interview out of Will Thompson, the likes of which I'd not managed to do in my estimation. And I thought, that's really good. That's really good. Will was able to articulate a lot of what he's been saying all along, and it makes a lot of sense. And Gary had done a great job in pulling that out of him. And within a day or so, it had been dropped or delisted, unlisted, banned, if you like, censored from Gary's point of view from YouTube for mentioning the. And I'm not even going to say that I don't want to risk all that we do for the sake of mentioning, and I don't like to do this, but I'm going to do it so that we're not robbing people of other content. But by the mere mention of a drug trade name. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But anyway, I'll call it Ivor the Engine for now. And yes, so they had their conversation about Ivor the Engine. And this is ridiculous, isn't it? As I hear myself say it, and for the reasons I'm saying it, it is appalling, but this is what we'll go with for the time being. The video was banned for just mentioning two grown men expressing an opinion about an alternative drug treatment. And I understand why Gary's peeved about that. Morning, can you put the URL for the flag map? I've only got the meme. And it sounds like I need... Good morning, Colin and Hakeem. That map, geez. So what have I done wrong there, Elra? And Colin, I need to obviously find out from Elra. She may think that map was a bit of fake news or something, so I need to check on that. I introduced it merely as a talking point, and I may have got myself into some trouble I hadn't anticipated there. I need to do a bit more research on that. Elra, help me out. How about younger people working at these restaurants that have not been vaccinated, says Anita Samaras. How about, I think, restaurants that are where grown-ups can all make their own choices in life, and where the people who own and work in a restaurant say you don't need any of that to come here at your own risk, like you used to before. This is a restaurant where those restrictions don't apply. If you feel safer going to a different restaurant, please do that, but this is one where we understand and accept the risks. That's the world I'd like to live in, personally speaking. And I know, this isn't about me, but I am prepared to put that in, and I'm very interested in airing and hearing your views as well. I'm not going to use the word in case you get jailed too. You see, you can't even say it. The virus only works weekends. Yes, indeed. And I think there's a mixture of football and virus talk here. What an excellent way to start the week. I don't get the whole 3:30 curfew on weekends, says Tamara. Does the virus know the difference between a weekday and the weekend? Yeah, actually it does. It's so evolved and intelligent now that it is able to say bon fin de semana. Getting used to it though, and I just carry my certificate with me. Yeah, I understand that. needs must, right? El Relinda, I don't know what to make of that. I mean, kids can't go to school in Portugal without vaccines, indeed. And we are getting into an area, aren't we, where I understand Tamara's sentiment there. Just, and some people might say this to me, and I think some did on social media the weekend. Get over yourself, carry the papers. If you do, if you've got nothing to hide, nothing to worry about, blah, 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 carry. But you do have to question things, I think, in a civilized and democratic society. Hence, it being called a civilized and democratic society, that other views are available and may be discussed and tolerated, right? Rather than just shut up, get vaccinated, and carry your papers. I don't think that's the answer. I think it's an answer, but it should be part of a broader debate. Don't know what to make of that, says Elra. Yeah, the inconsistency of weekdays versus weekends makes no sense, though. To someone, it does, Elra. I mean, they wouldn't be doing it otherwise. It will be justifiable in some way, in some sort of rationalizing way by the people who bring these things in, you would think. Because everything makes sense to everyone, doesn't it? If we extend that to football fans, the reason why they punch each other and throw beer over each other and punch passers-by, they have got a reason for doing that, believe it or not. It's not a very intelligent one, but they do have a reason. They feel justified in some way. This is what we need to understand about humans, isn't it? But then understanding might bring relief, freedom, and let's hopefully say transformation here. It's come in Rome. Yes, all right, NBA. Thank you very much for that. El Rolinda, although people do tend to go out more at weekends, granted. Yeah, and that will be part of the thinking, wouldn't it? Hola, bon dia, Carl from Long Island. Hey, Jersey, how are you? Sorry, no time for poetry this morning in the middle of a move. Look, Oscar Wilde would have down tools for a moment just to pen a line there, Paul. Come on, you can do better than that. El Rolinda, regarding the map, I was knocked off the chair with the force of all the green and yellow. The Brazilian influence there. And of course, that's what I don't like about statistics and what are they called? Infograms, are they called? Info something, info chart, whatever it is, graphics. And this is what's going on as well, of course, in pandemic times, isn't it? When people say something like the amount of immigrants doubled, it's like, oh no, we're being overrun. It's actually doubled from 5 people to 10 people. 100% increase. And this is, when you say the leading nationality and you see a map like that, it's like, and you can get a wrong impression, can't you? Because then you see the second biggest looks very different. But I get the drift, I think, of what you're saying there. And they can be as harmful as they can helpful, can't they? Just like words. Yesterday, I was cheering for England, but I have to say it's come in Rome for the second time. All right, I'm glad you've got that off your chest now, MBA. Let's have a look here. Will is here this morning. Will may like to comment as well. Not fake news, says Elra. The map just updated since my okay, so this is the change that you're seeing in Portugal, of course. Alda Curtis is here as well. I hope Portuguese people would remember the fascist authoritarian regime. Is that in reference to how you need papers to go to a restaurant now, Alda? I mean, does anyone else agree with me? That is why I came to Portugal. Carefree, easygoing. It just doesn't seem very carefree and easygoing if you've got to go to a load of administrative and bureaucratic hassle and declare yourself, which part of the spectrum of safety you put yourself on just to go out and have something to eat. Honestly, personally, I'd rather not go out than do that, and that's not a good thing. I don't think I'm alone in that. And what will that do for the economy? Are we learning to live with this, or are we just changing our life in the most extraordinary and irrational sorts of ways, or illogical? It is rational, but it is illogical with this thing. Gary, is the video on Odyssey, Brighteon, brand new tube, or any other alternative platform? I don't think I've heard of 2 of those. Would love to watch it. Feel free, Gary. We are about openness, free speech, understanding conversation here. Feel free to post up the link to your video. That's not an endorsement. And it's also not a criticism. It's just that this is a place where grown-ups say things and other grown-ups hear them and go, that's interesting, or I don't agree with that, and still can move on, and it doesn't ruin their day or anything terrible like that. Kate, my lovely neighbours are joining me for my birthday celebration. Ah, yes, fellow Cancerian Kate at our local restaurant tonight. Guess it's a good thing that my birthday is on a Monday this year. Otherwise, yeah, extra 20 minutes while they go through the papers and maybe give you a rubber stamp on your forearm, like getting into like a teenager's disco. Football, as I expected. Easy to say that now, Kate. Yeah, lost on penalties. I was thinking, wouldn't it have been amazing if England had won on penalties last night? It would have put that ghost deep underground, wouldn't it? The whole, the karma, the penalty karma would have been erased. And particularly poignant because I think that's what Gareth Southgate has missed penalties at crucial times, hasn't he? Have you had your jabs, Carl? We've had our letters to be vaccinated. And I have to say, because of my position here, the answer I give you about whether I've had my jabs is that, do you want me to talk about my sex life as well? Now, I know some people are going to say yes, but I see that as a very personal matter, whether I've been vaccinated or not, just like my sex life. And I'm not going to share with you the gory details of either my medical life or my sex life. Okay, until I know you a bit better. Will Thompson, morning all. This censorship is really hitting home for people now. I'm sorry you had to be exposed to it. It's not nice. I think he's talking to Gary there. Been dealing with it for a year. Folks thought I was paranoid, says Will there. Yeah, and I think it did come as quite a shock for Gary. The Estado Novo, says Elra, was a lot worse than what is happening today. At least nowadays, the interest is in public health. Once it is done, we go back to normality. I seriously hope you're right, Elra. Surely you just need a negative PCR test because having the vaccine is irrelevant because you can still be a carrier without knowing it. Absolutely right, Gary. Is the NHS inoculation app accepted in Portugal? Colin, I don't know that personally. Somebody else here might, of course. Andrew Gilchrist, reckon Southgate gets to keep the job. Yes, of course he does. And also he should be celebrated for his leadership style, which could be transferable, could it not, into other worlds, not least politics. I'm heading for the trees. They don't care who and what you are. There he goes, the wild man of Al-Vazra, taking solace and comfort with the trees there. And you can't blame him, can you? It is at these times in human history where you understand the urge to head for the hills, right? And get away from the craziness of humanity. I'm heading for the trees. There you go, Gary. Things could be worse. Here in Queensland, Australia, we have no community transmission cases and no deaths, says Michelle, but we're required by law to sign in with a government app to enter virtually anywhere. Not a world I'd want to live in, Michelle, and you have my sympathy there. But for some people, that would be a heavenly scenario, wouldn't it? Along the lines of, sort of Chinese style. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Let all of your movements and your life be completely documented and monitored and mapped by the government and your peers. Not something I feel entirely comfortable with. What about others here? I hope Southgate keeps his job, says Stephen. Build on what is created and all that. Absolutely, because they may win it something significant one day. Hopefully, for the third time in my lifetime, beyond the final, beyond the semi, victory beyond the semis. My birthday treat is our new house, says Kate. We're signing the papers today to see you in the hills outside Caldash, Carl. Yay! I'll miss Sella and Alcobaça. It's been a wonderful place to live. Alcobaça is a place to miss for sure. Not in a bad way. I mean, you will miss it if you don't see it anymore, if you see what I mean. Time to get on with life. Thank you, Elia. Governments need to stop this mad. Oh, I thought because it's 10 o'clock. But yes, governments need to stop this madness. You're leaning against an open door with me personally. Other views are available, of course. Save that for the man cave. Wonder what that was. I tried to watch the footy, got run out of town because my ex showed up. What? She wasn't happy. That sounds like a proper bloke down the pub kind of story. Heading to Indian-style riverside paradise, will report from BitChute. Well done, Will. Ever the innovator and working around things to bring information to people. The reality is different to the requirement. Go and live your lives and get vaccinated. If you're not allowed into somewhere, there's always a poor review rating you can give the market forces. Yes, revenge via TripAdvisor. In Sydney, we have now been in house arrest for the past 3 months. Only allowed to go out for vaccinations, tests, or essential shopping. No visitors either. That is misery to me. in Sydney there. I'm so sorry for you, Alda. I'm all in favour of your idea that you should be able to go in a restaurant without papers, providing there are supermarkets, chemists, doctors, waiting rooms and so on, where you won't be in danger of infecting those who are vulnerable to this infection. Absolutely, Deborah. Or the vulnerable shield as well. I mean, you know, there should be a mixture, right? What if you pick COVID up in the restaurant and give it to someone else? Well, vaccinated people, I suspect, are doing that as well, Deborah. We can't live with this until all who can be vaccinated are vaccinated. Then we can decide again. Now is not the time to make a final decision to drop the safeguards. I hear you. Don't necessarily agree, but I hear you, because that's how we roll here. We have gotten to the point that no one is allowed to die, says Elliot. That's the theory, and of course, but people do. The NHS app didn't work for me. It's an app is BS as evidence, in my opinion. Thanks, Andrew. Colin. Yeah, thanks for that. Michelle, it's the Great Reset. Ha ha! I feel it's a Great Reset, the musical. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I learned of the censorship over 3 years ago, is that? When I wanted some natural health info. Kate, our vaccination certificates are not being accepted in England. Can't go visit friends and family without 10 days isolation. Discrimination with no justification. Okay, garden show tonight. Yes, of course, 6:15. For those who want to head for the hills and want to embrace nature more and get away from human craziness, 6:15 gardening Q&A. Good morning from head gardener McGrady. Yes, a shout out for his own show tonight. See you there, Lee. I've been on the domestic terrorist list since 2014. It's been a pain trying to save nature and getting punished for getting it right. Yeah, that'll teach you. No good deed goes unpunished. Will Thompson, and the road to hell is paved with good intentions. What about contracting the virus from shedding of the vaccinated, says Alda? It's a good point. Gary, thank you, Carl. It still works. Let me know when it stops working. Yes, he's popped the link in there. Surely a great reset means a revolution. It could do, couldn't it? Also, the vaccine is to help those who do get COVID don't end up with a tube down their throats and help alleviate the emergency rooms, just like the flu jab. You still get it, just not as serious. Thank you, Elra, for that. And that's probably where we have to leave it this morning, because it's 2 minutes past 10. There goes me slippage. Nina was talking about integrity. Got to do something about this punctuality integrity. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. We had a beautiful new intro. If you didn't see that, join us tomorrow morning. And when, of course, you'll be able to see it again. A new intro, remixed visuals from Pete Wilton Davies. But the same exit where you are advised to now go out and enjoy Portugal, subject to all the things we've just talked about. Beijinhos, abraços, ciao, ciao. See you soon. See you on the Q&A tonight if you're into gardening and getting out and growing your own. Bye for now.